Mr. Beast's company Feastables has just been sued under the Americans with Disabilities Act for its website not being made accessible to the blind. That is after Mr. Beast cured 1,000 people with blindness in a famous video, but now he's being sued over this or his company's being sued over this website, which the lawsuit alleges it does not follow the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act and does not allow blind people to access it and to purchase products for it. Let me show you the website real quick so you know what we're talking about, and then I'm going to walk you through the lawsuit and kind of what it's alleging. So this is the Feastables website. You can see this is a pop-up that comes when you go to the website, and you can see on here you buy basically a lot of sugar and junk and gummies, sampler packs and all kind of things, and then there's little things flowing across bars where you can click on them that show you like all the different gummy bundles that are available and various kinds of sugar that Mr. Beast is selling to children. And I'm going to show you now what the lawsuit says about this website, and then we'll come back and look at why the plaintiff in that lawsuit, who is blind, wants to be able to actually use this website and says that he can't use it properly the way that it's been set up. Okay, this is the complaint in the lawsuit. If you're not a lawyer, that's the first document that is filed in every lawsuit, and it lays out what is the plaintiff suing about, what is the lawsuit about. You can see that this one was just filed less than a week ago. Today's the 15th, and I actually don't think Mr. Beast may not even know about this lawsuit yet, because I found that they haven't actually served him with it. According to that means go and hand the lawsuit to his company, Feastables. The court just today issued what's called a summons, and a summons says you're ordered to come into this court and answer this lawsuit, or you could lose by default. You can see it's this guy, Anthony Hammond Murphy, who is suing Feastables Inc. He is not named Mr. Beast personally, but he is suing this company that Mr. Beast is sort of promoting or is behind or has some connection with. So this says that Mr. Murphy, who's the plaintiff, is legally blind. He and his lawyers have been investigating sort of the Feastables website. You can see that they say that the defendant is a retailer that sells apparel, accessories, and more to consumers. In order to access, research, or purchase defendant's products and services, consumers may visit defendant's online store located at Feastables.com. And that said, this action, which is the lawsuit, arises from the defendant's failure to make the digital platform compatible with screen access software, thereby denying blind individuals, including Murphy, full and equal access to defendant's products and services. And so if you're blind, you do have to use like special software sometimes. It depends on kind of like what degree of blindness you have or what, your disability, but there are software designed to make it easier to use the internet and to sort of come up with alternate ways that you can access and use websites. And this says it's unsurprising that the Feastables website is not accessible to the blind, because there's been studies that show that like basically people just kind of ignore when they're launching their products the needs of the blind and don't actually make their websites compatible with the use of these sort of assistance software, because they want to get to market faster. They don't want to sort of do the work to make it compatible up front. And it says that Murphy filed the lawsuit because the policies of Feastables have excluded him and millions of other potential customers from fully and equally enjoying defendant's products and services, which is the gummies and the chocolate. And that if people with disabilities are to move from being the most disadvantaged population online to equal residents of cyberspace, we must reject the mentality of retrofitting in favor of a philosophy that emphasizes the design and development of technology that's inclusive of people with disabilities from launch. So he's basically saying, I want, when you launch your products, to go ahead and like don't wait to fix it until after you've tested your product. Make it so that I, as a blind person, can buy right away. That's what the plaintiff is saying. So what does he say about Mr. Beast's website? He goes on a bit about sort of legal stuff about how he is getting this lawsuit in Pennsylvania because the plaintiff's in Pennsylvania. He talks about the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was this law that was passed to help people who have disabilities and to make sure that they had the ability to kind of like access businesses. But it says basically under that law, it set it up so that the main way you enforce it is by using private lawsuits. The government doesn't necessarily go around investigating everybody. You can see it says this here. The Department of Justice can't investigate every place of public accommodation. So private plaintiffs play an important role in enforcing the Americans with Disabilities Act. So this plaintiff basically wants to go like make the Feastables website work better for blind people. What does he say is the problem with that website that he says sort of violates the law? He says two of the most commonly used screen reader auxiliary aids are JAWS, JAWS, from Freedom Scientific, which is a Windows program, and then VoiceOver, which is available on Mac and the iOS. And he says JAWS is Job Access with Speech, the world's most popular screen reader developed for computer users whose vision loss prevents them from seeing screen content or navigating with a mouse. That might be another problem too, right? You may not think about this if you're not blind, is how to use a mouse or any other ways to sort of navigate a computer if you like can't see where the cursor is. And this says that this JAWS software provides speech and braille output for the most popular computer applications on the PC, and it helps you kind of do all these things that you if you're not blind, you probably don't just think about. You just assume it's easy to do, but then it really isn't if you have a disability of that kind. So that's things like navigating the internet, writing a document, like making presentations. Then this voiceover software kind of describes that as well, which is, it looks like they have like sort of they call it rotor gestures that work kind of like a mouse, so you can use gestures to actually do the same thing that you might do with the mouse, and that they give some examples here of how other online stores are using this software. It says to communicate their products to people who use this sort of software. It says there's this image on the left that illustrates what shoppers perceive visually when they're browsing this store. And if you're not blind, you can see that it kind of has this bag, and you can kind of see images of clothing. There's T-shirts, there's bags, there's things that this website is selling. And then it says to the right is an image from the online store with the audio description highlighted for that image in green. And you can see here, if you can see this, under the bag there, it says one burlap and cotton tote bag with a custom printed architectural company logo. And then this lawsuit describes like what does the software do to help people or blind people access these websites that are selling products. It says that although invisible to the eye, screen access software reads this highlighted text aloud in order to describe the image to shoppers who cannot perceive content visually. In this example, when shoppers tab to the image file with a screen reader, the online store announces one burlap and cotton tote bag with a custom printed architectural company logo. Blind shoppers require audio descriptions, frequently called alternative text like this, to access digital content fully, equally, and independently. So that's basically saying like you may be interacting with websites that have this stuff on it all the time and don't even know, and you probably are. So if I were going to this website, I wouldn't even see this text. But if I were using this software that's designed to help blind people have more accessibility, then it would just sort of read it to them as they're accessing it. And then they get to sort of what's going on with the Feastables website and why is it not actually designed, sort of ironically, to help blind people. This says that basically that Feastables failed to build the digital platform in a manner that is compatible with screen access software. And so when this plaintiff went and tried to access it, he couldn't actually like get onto it and use it. So you'll see here that the lawsuit is sort of identifying a bunch of different problems that they had, that the plaintiff had in accessing Mr. Beast's Feastables website. And if you wonder like why they're getting into this granular level of detail, I think a lot of it is actually trying to fix the problem. So they're basically saying, look, here's all the things you need to change so that this can actually be used by people. So it might seem like it's nitpicking, but it's really more like a guidepost to Feastables to be like, what do you do? So they first say that the defendant, which is Feastables, uses a pop-up in order to get new consumers to sign up for alerts, for exclusive giveaways, insider access, and VIP updates. But this pop-up message is unfortunately unavailable for those who navigate the defendant's digital platform with the assistance of these sort of screen reader programs. And they link to a YouTube video, where people can go see what the problem was, and which is probably helpful to Feastables if they actually want to fix this stuff. Although they probably would have preferred this be done not as a lawsuit, but that's neither here nor there. So this basically says that if you try to access this using the screen reader software, that the only choices you get are to like close the pop-up or to sign up without even knowing what you're signing up for. And so people who are blind would just close the pop-up, and then they don't get access to like any of the promotions that are offered. And I'll show you the pop-up real quick. I had it in my video earlier, and now I can't get back to it on his website. So I'm going to show you a screenshot of my video so you can see what they're talking about. So it's this thing, and we saw it briefly earlier, and this shows up like the first time you use the website. But what the plaintiff is saying is basically like he can't even see, or he can't see, so he can't see what it says. But then his software can't like know what the text is the way the website is programmed. So all it knows is like there's something that you could put your email address in. What it is just kind of a mystery, because there's nothing for the text can't be read the way Feastables has sort of implemented the website. And so, and you can see that this says here, if you can see, it says sign up for exclusive giveaways, insider access, and VIP updates, which means that if you're blind, then you'd be missing out on whatever like promotions that the website has. That says Mr. Beast wants you to join this crew. Apparently, you just kind of don't know what you're joining at all. So that's a problem if you're trying to use this software. And then if we scroll down a little, he gives some more examples. He says that They use this promotional banner to advertise their latest products. This carousel for visual users shows the latest promotional product for the defendant and uses characters such as emojis to grab the attention of potential customer. But for non-visual users like the plaintiff, these carousels can be a disaster to use as they don't notify screen reader users of their presence and fail to properly read the information as the banner is progressing. Instead, the carousels are only to announce the image that is currently displayed when navigating, and so that causes it says basically like not only would a blind user miss out on offers that may be displayed later on in the carousel, the banner also can like make the screen reader technology get stuck on it. So if he's trying to use his screen reader, then it just navigates through the same stuff like over and over and over, and before he can sort of like get off it and actually try to use the website. So let's look real quickly at that carousel again. And you can see kind of at the top here, this is the Feastables website. You can see that stuff scrolling at the top with there's little like rocket emojis and smiley faces and stuff. And saying, it says stuff, I'm just reading off this, introducing Carl Gummies, Carl Gummy bundle available for a limited time. And that just keeps scrolling across. And so what the lawsuit is saying is this thing that he's got at the top here just is like a total disaster for these screen readers and just sort of nukes their ability, like just the way it is, does not work with the technology that is being used to allow disabled people to access the internet. And then he also says, okay, that the defendant, Feastables, uses visual cues as the only means of conveying information, indicating an action, prompting a response, or distinguishing a visual element. And providing information conveyed visually through another means is necessary to ensure that consumers who cannot receive visual cues can still perceive important information in a non-visual manner. So, and then he says, for example, the digital platform allows consumers to select the flavor of the candy or candy bundle they wish to purchase and see the nutrition facts of the items. This defendant identifies the selected flavor or bundle visually by placing a circle around the flavor as a shopper selects. But unfortunately, Feastables fails to include alternative text to identify the selection in a non-visual means, and that makes it difficult and frustrating, if not impossible, for basically a blind user to verify what color they selected. So let's look at what they're talking about there. Just poke around on this Feastables website and see if we can get some sugar. So Mr. Beast Bar is selling D's Nuts, and now you see something spinning, and then it's got all these 10 packs, and you can choose your flavor. Let's choose a flavor here for this. Well, one, I can't even tell, even looking at it, what this is. But then, it does look like it's sort of entirely visual. You can see how if there's no text behind this to like be read audio, how would you even know? Like I'm seeing, I can read it. It says milk chocolate crunch. And apparently that's literally the flavor is D's Nuts. But a lot of this is by these little circles around this. And if you are blind, like I can see and click which one of these things are to select this, but he's saying his software these are apparently kind of the primary software that they'll use, just can't interact with this in any way that would let him use the website if you can't see to purchase these chocolates. And if we go back to the lawsuit, then they say also basically there's insufficient alternative text for the images, which basically means like they don't have text in there to like, whenever we're seeing all these images, they don't have the stuff that you can't see in the background that would go use audio to describe the content of the image and pronounce words, or it says it sometimes pronounces the words as something incomprehensible, which is obviously not useful if you're trying to buy on this. And it says that links and buttons on the digital platform don't describe their purpose. As a result, consumers who have visual impairment can't determine, like, do you want to follow a link, making navigation an exercise of trial and error. And it says, for example, consumers who perceive content visually will likely recognize the digital platform shopping cart icon and understand that by clicking it, you sort of go shop. But it says that if you try to click shopping cart over this, it has no like alternative text, and it's saying that when you sort of hover over it, it shows you the number of items in there, but not like what is it a shopping cart? What are you doing with it? Just like a number. So let's see if we can find that in there. Now I'm trying to buy super expensive weird chocolate. Let's go see if we can find a shopping cart. So here's a shopping cart right here in the upper right. I'm not even seeing another number hover. Oh no, your cart's empty. Add something delicious. I'll add a 10 pack, but I'm not buying this junk. So now I've got one D's Nuts in my shopping cart. You can see there's a 1 now there. If I hover over it, I don't know if there is text behind this that it's not showing, but he apparently when he attempted to use this website with the software, he was just getting the number 1. And there is also like no text on here that I can see that would tell me like, here's where to shop. I do see the shopping cart, but like over here, it shows over the country, there's text, but then there's not, I don't see how you would find this, and maybe the software just can't work when it's doing that. And then the last thing that the lawsuit says is that Feastables installed this, what they call a low-cost overlay on the digital platform that was developed by a company called Accessi, um, ACCESSI, capital BE. And they basically say this software or this overlay thing is kind of junk. They say that the overlay fails to provide screen reader users full access, and that there's apparently been kind of like articles about this overlay thing not being good. That the websites are all kind of like they're basically no better than just using the internet in general. And there's some NBC News article talking about how the blind community is like protesting this accessibility thing that and wants people to stop using it like entirely. The National Federation of Blind, which this says is the largest blind advocacy group in the U.S., has like actually banned this overlay thing, this accessibility, from its convention. And these are several years ago, so you kind of wonder why, if that's like their whole thing, why they haven't fixed it and made it usable. But apparently, they just kind of maybe don't care. Who knows? But this says is citing more articles saying that the case provides a rare example of a company facing legal consequences for betting on AI technology that didn't perform as hoped. Apparently, there was sort of some lawsuits or something against the success of B. But they're kind of saying that Mr. Beast's Feastable company just cheaped out and used like the junkiest possible way to try to comply with this. That doesn't work, especially given that the website's kind of entirely visual. And he's saying like, look, I can't use this website, but I'm going to keep trying to access it and keep trying to. He's trying to show that he has like legal standing to sue, which means he has been injured and he will keep being injured. He can't go buy the Mr. Beast candy bars and gummies. And then now he's doing kind of summary just of like the history of the Americans with Disabilities Act, why he's allowed to sue, and there's a lot of very specific stuff about how websites apply with this, and this. Then he wants like all these injunctions and rules, and they're very specific about like they want Mr. Beast's Feastable company to like get the come up with a strategy based on an audit, and then go like examine all this stuff and send it to their executives, and like basically do a lot of detailed work to make sure that now people who are blind can actually see this and buy the candy. And then he wants also kind of at the end like attorney's fees and costs of the suit and just damages for this. And usually in an Americans with Disabilities Act case, there are attorney's fees awarded. So does this lawsuit make Mr. Beast the worst person in the world? No, probably not, because honestly, I would kind of doubt that he actually even like knows about this or has thought about it. That maybe is one thing of the plaintiff, is they're wanting people to think about this for if your website is less text oriented and more like visual oriented, then you really do kind of have an issue with that. And this website is like there's very little text on it at all, and so in order to like use it for kind of the purpose, you can't really find a way around it, I guess, the way it is set up. And so will Feastables have to fix this? They're probably going to have to do something to make this a little bit more navigable for the blind. It is sort of a bad publicity, bad look, I guess, to have this come out right after you have done this video about helping 1,000 blind people, because it's sort of like, how did you not pick up on this while you're doing it? Although one of the things that happens with influencers sometimes is that I think they don't get down into the nitty gritty and the details of how their companies are running, and that can get them into problems. So that's maybe like advice as an influencer is you got to kind of like have people on it as a team. And the lawsuit is not really sort of torching him for it, but it is saying that this is a common problem when people launch products, is that they don't really think about this. And then that causes problems for the people who are blind and who want to use it. So we'll see what happens with it. It does look like a kind of case where probably he'll fix it and have to pay some attorney's fees or something, and have to make it accessible. It's not the type of lawsuit that usually you fight about that stuff in detail. It's sort of this, it was kind of a little hard even to just use it in general. But we'll see. And we'll see if Mr. Beast fixes the website and enables millions of blind people to go see his particular candy bars, or if he just keeps fighting and gets sued even further. Want to hear more analysis of celebrity lawsuits? You can hit subscribe or hit one of the end card things that are flying around with other videos that I've done about these. I do a lot of celebrity lawsuit videos and a lot of sort of YouTube law school. So I'm a lawyer and trying to teach people a little bit more about how the legal system works, and hopefully more of y'all will come be plaintiffs lawyers and try to fix things that are going on in our society that can be fixed with the legal system if you have people who are willing to fight on them.